we go. Tyler, you like my shirt?
I do. I got one for you too.
Yeah.
Of course, it's backwards, but it says.
Oh, yeah, it's perfect. I'm glad.
Do they give that to you as soon as you get inaugurated? Is that like the gift?
No, they do
so
not.
We're here with Chris Moren, who's the mayor of the borough of Tatamy.
Yep.
Population 1,142. How does it feel to like be in charge of all those people?
Well, I don't know that I look at it as being in charge of all the people. It's because I'm really not, right? So I don't know if you know how the no,
I mean that was my
structure
like kind of I was trying to like play it up so that we could learn more about how to like what does the mayor of Tatamy do? I mean what
I try to be the face of the borough, right, and give people updates as to what we're doing, construction projects, which I'm sure everybody knows we're surrounded by a bunch of construction projects here. What's going on. We have a bridge project that the county started last year that was supposed to take 6 to 8 weeks, and due to contract disputes that still isn't done. So I'm trying to, stay ahead of that and keep that going and updated. So that's where we're at. That's what I do. I try to get, I'm very active on social media. Again, just trying to keep people updated what we're doing. If you follow our Facebook pages, you'll always see stuff from me about, like yesterday, I spent some time with our public works folks and, showed folks what we're doing. So I just try to be that communicator, that face. That's really the job of myself or any mayor.
Yeah.
Just to be, the face of the town and tell people what we're doing and what's going on.
You're also, fun fact, I would not be here today if it wasn't for Tatamy, Pennsylvania.
Oh, there you go.
My dad was born in Tatamy. My grandmother still lives there to this day. And most notable resident, our chef, well, other than the mayor, our chef, Tim Fry, is a Tatamy resident. So,
who is the most famous person from Tatamy?
I don't know that we have one. It's got to be Tim. I don't know that we have anybody else.
No, there's got to be like somebody who's on like an HBO show or something. Let me look here.
I don't know. If there is, I've not been told.
Are you born and raised in the area yourself?
No, I actually was born and raised in New Jersey. I'm a transplant. I know, right? I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm a transplant. I came to the area in 1992 after I got out of the Navy and moved into Tatamy in 1997. And
was it deliberate? Like, did you move into Tatamy on purpose? Like, I want to move to that neighborhood, or was it, it kind of just worked out?
We were looking for houses, and it just worked out. I liked the small town feel. It's for those of you who've been to town here, short of our main street, which has just been, inundated with traffic, the rest of the town is really quiet.
Yeah.
And I like that. We're really fortunate here.
Except for that pesky Tim Fry's house. That's a noisy place.
Well, it's really noisy down there, but we just try to ignore it and look the other way.
So, being a mayor of a small town, it's not probably as glamorous as, being the like de Blasio or, like the governor of Pennsylvania, but you are very, very busy, right?
Yes.
You're
Look,
dated.
There's our Broad Street.
Yep.
There you go.
I've been on all these streets.
Yeah.
What
So Tyler tries to avoid the police.
What are some of the daily tasks that somebody might not realize that you're doing? Because everybody lives in a town that has a mayor. What do you do that people might not realize that is being done?
Well, we have a small town here, so I wear many, many hats, right? So the mayor, by state statute, is responsible for the police department and public safety. So that's my number one concern every day, is ensuring that our police and fire departments and emergency management is up to speed and doing what they need to do to make sure that we take care of not only the people who live here, but everybody who passes through, right? So I'm responsible for that, and that's a huge responsibility. But again, I wear many hats. I'm involved in finance. I'm involved in, local government operations in general. I've been around here for a long time, and I've been involved in local government in one, stage or the other since probably '98. So I've been around here for a long time. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of the problems that we have in town. So it's incumbent upon all of us to, just continue to do the right thing and take care of us.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was going to say, how did you decide, one day, hey, I want to be mayor of this place that I moved into, and because not everybody has to be involved in the community,
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And quite honestly, the word introvert, I'm the capital I in the word introvert, which is ironic because, as the mayor, I have to be the public face of the town. But I got started in the late 90s. My next door neighbor was the mayor, Mayor Dignam. He was the mayor here for many, many years. And he encouraged me to get involved. I started with the sewer authority had an opening. So I volunteered my time and became a member of the sewer authority, which I still sit on today. Then the planning commission needed a member. So I, threw my hat in there and sat on the planning commission for a while, and then became the planning commission secretary. And I did that for many years. There was an opening on borough council, and I ran for council and sat on council for a number of years, resigned my position on council in 2014. I just needed a break, right? So there were some issues that came up, and I just had to step away for a little while. Mm-hmm. And I was the council president, and again, very, very much involved, and took care of what needed to be taken care of. And in the last municipal election in 2015, the mayor at the time, again, my neighbor across the street, was going to retire, and they asked me if I would consider coming back and throwing my hat in the ring, and I did, and so here I am. I'm back.
Was there a mayor battle?
Tell me that you were neighbors with two different mayors?
Correct. It's ironic, since I've lived here in town, the mayor has lived in the same block that I live in. It's just ironic how that's worked.
That's crazy.
Since 1997, yeah, the mayor has lived in this.
There should just be one house, and whoever's you just start
the White House of Tatamy.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally next door, across the street. So that's just how it's worked out.
What about during pandemic times? We obviously have directives from the federal government and the state government. Is it part of you, is that your duty to relay those informations? For example, like a stay-at-home order, does that have to come from you for the people of Tatamy? Are you
all those directives come from the government, or from people who are senior to us. Those orders are passed down, and it's our obligation to enforce the rules that have been handed down to us. Much like if you're familiar with the military hierarchy, there's a chain of command, and the orders flow down from the top, and it's our responsibility to to ensure that those orders are enforced in our town.
Right.
We have a lot of local construction projects going on that we've had to in some cases intervene with and tell them you got to shut your jobs down and that kind of stuff. But for the most part,
get back up and running sooner than later, obviously.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Safely,
there's a lot of warehouses going up. Is that some of the construction you're talking about?
Oh yeah, a lot of that. There's warehouse construction. I'm sure you're very familiar with the 33 interchange that they put in a few years ago here. So there's warehouses that are being worked on. There's a Sheetz gas station that's being worked on. There's a hotel project. There's a Wendy's convenience store, a fast food place. There's a housing development that's being built here in town. So all those jobs have had to, stop.
How have you noticed not only Tatamy, but specifically Tatamy, that's your area of expertise, but since you've moved from New Jersey, how have you seen things change around here and in Tatamy since you've arrived?
Well, everything was pretty static until Schrin opened the interchange in, I guess it was 2013 or 14 or whenever that happened over there. Once that happened and the valves opened up, our traffic here in town on our main street has experienced an increase of 256%. Let me see, I have that number here. Yeah, so in 2013, our traffic volume was 6,139 trips a day on our main street. In 2018, which was the latest year that there's available data, it was 21,929. That's a 257 increase in 5 years. 257%. Nothing around me in our little town, we can't handle a 257% increase in traffic volume. You know, before COVID, shut down the world, there are times that you cannot get through Tatamy during, rush hour traffic because traffic backs up at the intersection of 8th and Main. It backs up in Forks
Doesn't that
Township.
blow your mind? Because you're like, where are we? Like, where am I that I'm in traffic?
Does. Correct. So, the people who live here, we've gotten accustomed to the fact that, during these certain times, you just don't go down Main Street. Although, if we want to go east to Forks, we sort of are, forced to go that way until they finish our bridge project. I
have a question. It's going to sound, I don't know if it's going to sound mean or not, but why would Tatamy continue to exist? Why did it never get swallowed up by like Nazareth or the township or something? It's just curious to me,
we were part of, we broke away from Forks Township in 18, I should know this off the top of my head, but I don't know the year. We just had our 125th anniversary last year, so do the math.
Right.
There was a group of people led by, I believe, the Messinger family to, break off and carve out a little borough of its own. And so they did that in, 126 years ago.
Can you imagine, people did that?
Successful ever since. Yeah.
Can you imagine, Tyler, if you're like, you know what? This place sucks. I'm going to go with my buddies and start a new town.
That's exactly what happened.
That's what they did. They did that. It's just...
That's what they did. And, we've managed to keep our sense of small community.
Yeah.
Like everywhere else, we're growing. Some people will call it good. Some people will call it bad. But, we're growing, and there's either two options. You either adapt and grow with it, or you get, left behind. And our choice was, we really had no choice. We had to grow with it. Unfortunately, most of the growth around us is outside of the borough, like all those warehouses and all that construction that's going on near the interchange. That's all in Palmer Township. So I get nothing. When I say I mean we as the borough. We get nothing. We get nothing in tax dollars. We get nothing in infrastructure improvements. We get nothing but a 256% increase in traffic volume every day.
Is that something that can be presented to somebody as hey, the town's getting no direct benefit, but can we get some kind of benefit? This is not really fair. All this stuff is happening around us. Can you bring that up to somebody?
Well, you can, but it's really up to the traffic studies and a bunch of bureaucracy that will determine infrastructure improvements. So there's a new warehouse project that's been proposed just to the west of 33 in Palmer Township. That particular project is going to require infrastructure improvements at our intersection at 8th and Main. It's going to require infrastructure improvements in Forks Township at the corner of Bushkill Drive and Euler Road. And again, at Sullivan Trail at Euler Road, mainly in the form of left turn lanes and signal improvements and, left turn arrows and things like that. The hope is that with the adding of these things, it'll help to alleviate the traffic backups, which are usually caused because people are trying to turn left and they can't clear the intersection. So that's what causes everything to back up.
Yeah. And on a broad question, you're a politician, right?
Nope. No, I'm not a politician.
No?
I hate politics. I hate it with a passion.
Well, people vote for you.
Correct.
And right now, obviously, politics is so heated and, on a national level. Mm-hmm. But what about some people, they might not focus so much on their local elections or, their leaders, their immediate leaders. Maybe can you explain to people why it's so important to maybe get involved at the local level?
It's a great question because get involved, because what happens here in town, whether you're in a borough or in a township or in a city, that's what directly impacts the lives of the people who live here. What happens in Washington, it'll trickle down eventually, maybe a third of what happens there, and even the stuff that happens in Harrisburg. But the stuff that's happening here locally, and whether you're, on the town council or the planning commission or the sewer authority or all these different local boards, we're the ones who really make stuff happen and impact the lives of the people who live in the community. So it's so important. People are, quick to complain about, stuff that's not getting done, or most of those complaints are, because they don't have all the right information, or they're reading, there's a bunch of keyboard warriors these days and they're only reading half truths, or, the famous slogan now, fake news. But get informed, get involved, come to our meetings. Most people who come to the meetings, they only come to complain. But if they would come to the meetings and learn about what's going on and how we're trying to adapt and make things happen, then
people always I feel like people look at everything as a fight automatically. Like you're talking about the traffic stuff and you're noticing how, okay, it's a problem you can't turn left. So maybe they'll make a change to that. My point is that there is a human being who is, making these changes. It's not like you're doing it to spite people. You're trying to make it better for everybody.
Correct.
And I just think people are so quick. Like they think, do they think the borough or the city wants to go out and do things on purpose to to piss people off? I don't know.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, it's just weird.
There's people who, people are just, natural complainers. When something happens that they don't like, they're quick to jump on the bandwagon and, throw shade or hate you or whatever.
It's easy.
It's easy. And if only they, educated themselves and learned what was going on and learned that, most of us, at least, the people that I've interacted with in local government, whether it's here in Tatamy or in the surrounding, communities, we're all trying to do the right thing. We're certainly not in this for the money. I think they pay me like $1,300 a year to be the mayor. So believe me, I'm not in this for the money. I do it for love of community, and just trying to make sure that we stay on a path and go in the right direction.
The Tatamy kids go to Nazareth, right?
Correct. Yes.
So Tyler, were the Tatamy kids thought of any differently, or not? Well, it didn't matter.
No, Mike, there wasn't a ton of them. My cousins came from Tatamy, and so I had a different. My experience was maybe I already had an opinion because they were my family.
Right.
So, no, what was funny was that I went to middle school right down the road, which I first went. That was the first year that middle school was built. I don't know where it is, but so my experience with Tatamy is I spent a lot of my life.
It's the one tagged Nazareth Area Intermediate School.
Yeah,
if you see it there on the left.
Yep. That's how I went down there, and so we're gonna probably get Tim on, but you're gonna settle a debate that me and Tim Fry had.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
We could fly into his house. I think this is it'd be a record for the amount of people in Tatamy on Zoom at one time.
It could be. Actually, we've been using Zoom to conduct our public meetings because we've instituted a no face-to-face policy here.
Right.
Yeah.
We've been using Zoom to keep business moving.
Me and Tim have had a 2-week-long debate now.
A debate on
the name of the corner store.
Where was
it? Oh, okay.
Is it around here?
It's at the corner of Main and actually it's Bushkill Street and 2nd, I guess.
Yeah, Bushkill and 2nd, and I was always under the impression that it was Pete's Candy Store. That was
here?
Right there. Yep.
Where it says Just Baked. Yes.
Yeah, Just Baked. That's the building right there. Okay, so wait, you got to turn. Yeah, right there. Huh? Yeah, right
Keep
there.
going. Right there. Yep.
That used to be a place called Pete's. Tim thinks it's called the corner store or Le Bars. Now, who's right?
Well, it could both of you. So for years it was
make me wrong.
For years it was Pete's Market, and then Pete sold it to the LeBar family, and then it was LeBar's.
Yeah, you got the trail right here.
Yeah, that's the Tatamy Trail. That's part of the Two Rivers Trail project. You get on the trail here in Tatamy and go south. You can go all the way to Easton and beyond. We actually are working. Here comes Tim. We're actually working on a project to extend the trail. If you turn the camera, keep going that way. If you we're turning, well, no, the other way. We're working on extending the trail north of Main Street and eventually connecting it to Stockertown and.
So this way.
Yeah. So the trail's going to continue that way. So to the right of where those cars are parked, that's Equipto's parking lot. That land belongs to us. And, we're working on making some improvements there and extending the trail north into Stockertown and beyond.
We want to welcome everybody. Our Tatamy's arguably the most notable resident. You might recognize him from our cooking show and the After Dark show. Tim Fry is in the building, sitting in Tatamy right now.
Look at that.
The Tatamy is here.
No, you got to join the audio, pal.
Oh, wait. Maybe that's on me. Sorry.
Oh, how about
Tim.
now?
There you go.
Good. All right. Hey, guys. What's going on?
Just talking some Tatamy.
You got the two big boys of Tatamy right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Tim,
one important person and one who's actually just big. So
I don't know if you heard, but it's been cleared up. I know
I'll
your
go
dad
back.
cleared up, but Pete's was named Pete's Market at one time.
okay, so I'll still give that a 50% correct for both of us.
The mayor is right here. He just confirmed it.
Yeah,
Pete's Market is not Pete's Candy Store. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, you did say candy store.
They did sell candy, but it was a general store, just like LeBar's when they bought it, and now
Do they live upstairs?
For a while, but now those are rented apartments. There's been several businesses in there since.
The bakery's doing okay.
Trip down Main Street here.
Yeah, the bakery's doing all right. Tony's Pizza there on
Tony's
the left.
Pizza?
That used to be the Tatamy Hotel.
Yeah.
It's a rooming house now. Still, there's rooms for rent upstairs, but the Tatamy Hotel used to have great breakfasts back in the day.
I used to love going there. I felt like I was like in on something special because I was young. So like I would go in there and buy beef jerky at the bar, and I felt like I was like part of the gang.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They used to have I don't know if it was Tuesday or Thursday in the summertime was steak night. You get this giant ribeye steak and a baked potato for some ridiculously low price, like $5 or something. It was really good.
So Tim, tell us about your experience living in Tatamy. You love it.
My family's been here forever. Yeah, my family's from Tatamy, so I live in the family house that my grandparents bought, and I think right after World War II, either right before World War II or right after World War II. Yeah, I love Tatamy. It's a cool little town, and I live in what's called Old Tatamy. So there's Old Tatamy and there's New Tatamy.
Yeah.
Wait. Where's Old Tatamy?
You know where I live, George?
No, we don't have to show everybody, but where's the Old Tatamy? Is it like down here?
Well, if you get to Tatamy, there's a chance you're going to find.
So if you're covering the fire department, which you were, that area that you're kind of around there would be Old Tatamy, all up through High Street, Broad Street, Main Street.
All right, so
you can tell. And then New Tatamy is like the second newest developed area, which is outside of Main Street. And then Tatamy Hunt is like the new Tatamy. That's like the sort of the huge houses.
Life looks very peaceful back here.
It is.
You're very close to my house in these images.
I wonder if we can. I don't know where Tim lives.
No, you don't.
I wonder if I could find his house here.
Yeah, I don't care if you show my house. It doesn't matter.
Let's not.
But you were talking about the trail before, and we have a really cool trail. I don't know if that's what you were talking about before I got here, but
Well, yeah.
That trail is actually really nice.
Nice.
It's a really well maintained trail. It's one of the nicest trails I've seen in this whole area. me, Britt, we take the dogs, a baby, walk up and down all the time. It's full of people, distancing appropriately, of course, currently, but it's still very well used. It's a very cool spot.
Yeah,
This is like fun.
I love our trail.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
I'm
looks
just
like a
happy
good
that
time.
these small towns still exist, because
Well, yeah, it's kind of what I was saying. It's neat.
Yeah, well, we have
In a
cool
way.
stuff too. Like where I live is sort of like in between. There's two bridges in Tatamy, right? And much talked about bridges.
Oh boy!
But I live in between the two bridges, and across the street from me is a place called La Trisante. It's a place. It's like a they do all kinds of. They have yoga there. They do like cooking classes there. You can rent it out for a baby shower, for a bridal shower, whatever. It's a really cool place. It used to be called the Book Barn when I was a kid, and it was like an antiques place. It was really cool then too, but it's been refurbished. But they have something called they changed the name. It was Veg Fest, and then I think it was Veg Stock. It's one or the other. I don't know if you know there, Chris, which one it is currently.
It's Veg Stock, and they just announced their new. They announced this year's festival. Let me grab that here.
It's really cool. It's even if you're not a vegan vegetarian, because you might think, oh God, it's a vegan fest. It's not. It's really cool. It's this entire thing. They put a ton of effort into it. They have all these cool prizes they give away. Yeah, it's really neat. That girl in the middle. Her family runs it. The girl with the sweatshirt on.
Yeah, there you go. So it's October 10th this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll actually be able to make that happen.
I'll be so annoyed if we're not open by October. It would suck.
It would really suck.
Yeah.
But look at the amount of, because a lot of times when it's a small town, it's like a little thing, and it's not. Look at the amount of effort put just into this one sheet. Like they really do an excellent job.
Yeah, they really do. This is like the biggest thing that we have here in town, and they do a nice job.
Look at all that.
And since Gerhardt, so there used to be a place called the Farm Bureau, which is near my house also, and it went out of business. It was open for a long time, went out of business, and it got bought by a place called Gerhardt, and they've been cool enough to let these people at La Trisante use their land, use their property freely, so people can sort of be in and out. So it's a really big stretch of property that you can have all these events and all these tents and stuff all over the place. So everybody. It's kind of neat because there's only 3 businesses on this side of the street that own the entire side of the street, and they've all worked together to let people have a nice thing.
Yeah, it's a really nice event. We love it.
Chris, and Tim, I'll start with Chris. Do you notice and do you feel in the community that there is a sense of people banding together, not just with the current situation, but the community of Tatamy is a pretty close-knit community, being the mayor and Tim being in it? Is that how you feel?
It used from my perspective, it used to be a lot closer, especially when it was just old Tatamy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of we all knew our neighbors. We all knew what was going on, and that could be good and bad, right? Like every town has its Gladys Kravitzes.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, everybody knew each other, and we all looked out for each other. But times change.
You're serviced by the township or the regional police, right? The colonial.
Oh no,
we have our own.
We have our own police department.
I didn't know that. There's
sure do.
How many officers are there?
We have. Oh, I gotta count.
4? Is it 4?
Phil,
Oh,
Steve.
There's 5.
I didn't know. I thought
we have 5 police officers. And Borough Council.
All right.
Borough Council has been really in tune with the needs and ensuring that we have police coverage. And we've since I've become the mayor, we've increased our police coverage by 25 or 30% over the course, year over year.
Well, because that's
you got to make
one...
sure you have one officer around Tim's house at all times, right?
We try.
You know what's funny that you say that?
We usually park them on the corner right there by Tim's house, and they just watch.
Yeah, just and wait.
Yeah.
But what's funny that you say that is one of the things I was going to say that is cool about our police department. So a lot of times small towns get slack for their police department. They get a hard time for this or that. But in my experience, like I said, my family's been here for a long time. I've been here for 6 years or 7 years with my family. there was like an issue. It doesn't matter what the issue is, but there was an issue that I wanted a police officer to be near my house more often than usual. Just because I was worried about somebody stealing something, and then there's the whole thing. And my neighbors are pretty close. We're pretty tight knit where I live because there's only like 5 houses here, so we all know each other. So I went to to Keith, the guy in the picture there, the guy with the shaved head, and told him about it. And I'm not kidding you, every single night, this has been like 6 months ago, every single night, the police will go past my house, take 5 seconds, look around with the spotlight. Like they just they take the extra effort to do that, which you can't do that in a huge, not only is it logistically impossible in a huge city, but it's just an extra thing that it's cool that you can count on these people to be watching out for your family.
Well, yeah, my point was even like I just assumed that I shouldn't have, but there are some boroughs that rely on the regional police.
Oh yeah, or state.
I would rather have my own police department because they care more. I mean, I know all police officers care, but it kind of makes me feel like, hey, that's our police.
Yeah, well, and plus, if you're in an area that's serviced by the state police, it's not like it's a bad thing. But if you call the cops, they're not going to be there for a while because they're somewhere else because they're not in your town.
And the state police will not enforce local ordinance. So if you have a neighbor who's like rocking out at 2:00 in the morning or fireworks or whatever, they're not going to come and take care of it.
Yeah. What ordinances has Tim broken in the last? You fired off fireworks?
We will not disclose.
To stay off the map. I stay off the radar. I joined town council just to give myself some leeway.
This is totally speculation. I don't know if this is what's going to happen, but big cities are kind of they're a tough spot to be in, especially right now. Everybody's on top of each other. There could be, and I've talked to some of my friends that live in major cities. There's a little bit of an incentive to move away from them, right? And maybe to move into a smaller town like Tatamy. Obviously, you're a transplant from New Jersey, even though we let you in. That's fine. We let you.
Yeah, well, we all can't be perfect.
There's you don't. There's that stigma where it's like we don't want whatever, we want to keep our community safe. But people, if they want to move to a small town, what are some of the benefits that living in a smaller community like this offers?
Okay, so I'll answer this question with it's a 2-part question. So there's benefits to living in a small community, especially if you're coming someplace large. It's quiet. There's a neighborhood feel. We have a trail, we have great parks, we have, we try to take care of, our community. There's some things that folks need to be aware of, especially if they're moving into Pennsylvania from New Jersey. There's certain things that they expect that they may not have available here. Most of the people who are moving into town, into these new houses, they're coming from places like, New Jersey, where it's incredibly expensive to live. So every year I go through explaining why they can't have access to the library. That's the biggest complaint I get. Why can't I go to the library? Because everybody from New Jersey, there's a county library system, and it's just, if you live in, I grew up in Hunterdon County, so if you live in Hunterdon County, you just go to the library. It's included as part of your taxes. We don't have that here. So if you, if your kids go to Nazareth, it's assumed that they can go to the Nazareth Library, and you can't. It's just not something that is feasible here.
Yeah.
So there's just things that they have to be aware of. But it's a small community. We're encouraging growth. We have a contractor who's building 77 new homes here.
The price really for. I don't know, there's some places you look at the prices to live there is insane, high. And then, even areas in Bethlehem where I'm at, you can get a really nice place as long as you're saying, maybe I'm not living in New York City or Washington, D.C. But Tyler's right. Maybe you don't want to anymore.
There's a lot of, a lot of people.
There's a lot of cool, there's a lot of benefits. Like we even have, again, we're not only, we're a very small town. There's 100. It's almost insane how many
towns there are.
There used to be at the
No.
Tatamy Hotel.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, no, not anymore.
So if Mayor Chris, you want to get working on that.
There's a market right there. I think.
I suggest don't get the bar.
Yeah, probably not. No.
And we would rather not. Yeah.
But
Okay.
but like for example, yesterday, 2 days, whatever day that big windstorm was, it was like really damaging winds earlier this week, and a big chunk of tree in my front yard got snapped off, like a huge chunk, and I didn't even know it happened. It was maybe 9:30 in the morning, and I hear people chainsawing stuff. Our public works guys they saw it, got there, sawed it apart, and got out of the road and took care of it before I even knew that it had happened. So I don't know if that's something that would happen either if you lived in a more densely, maybe it would have, but I don't know. I was impressed by that because everything was taken care of for me before I even knew there was a thing to take care of.
Well, there's something to be said for knowing, I'm going to take care of my neighbor across the street a little bit more than the one down the street, because I'm close. So it's kind of that same community feeling. You see these people all the time.
Yeah, it's just nice. We live in this time where, it could be ruthless. People can be cold to each other, and smaller towns. I don't know if it's not the same as it used to be, like Chris mentioned, but there's still more of that in a place like Tatamy than there is in my old apartment in Union City, New Jersey. I didn't even know.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And we're lucky, honestly. I'm not just saying this because I'm on the podcast with the mayor of my own town, but we're lucky to have a mayor that actually knows what the hell he's doing, because a lot of places don't. There's a lot of places, I'm not going to name any place, but people just get elected and they don't know what's happening. I can tell you that we've had this whole debacle with this bridge in our town. It's not even worth talking about, but it's an issue that people are worried about because they live here. And I live very close. I can see it from my window. And I can tell you that Mayor Chris will personally go down there like every other day and do a live video stream giving people an update on the bridge, and then write a letter to the state saying, why aren't you working on this bridge? So so what I'm trying to say is, Mayor Chris, you're very involved and you know what you're doing and you know how to take care of it, the job that you've been given. So thank you.
Thanks, Tim. So just a disclaimer, he was not paid to tell him.
No.
Your parking ticket is null and void.
I look outside and there's a new garage in my yard. I'm like,
all your tickets are waived.
Yes.
No, I think this might be, this is fun. I think maybe we'll try to get a couple of other mayors. See who else is out there.
Yeah,
who's the mayor of Stockertown?
I do have a question though, before we let everybody go. A little trivia. Where does the name come from?
Tatamy? The name Tatamy is the borough is named after Chief Tatamy. He was an Indian chief who was a guide for William Penn, and he was the first Indian chief to be baptized into the Christian religion by, I think that the gentleman's name was Brainerd back in 17 something. So the borough's name comes from Chief Moses Tatamy.
Yeah, and we have a very cool. Not to interrupt you, Joe, but we have It depends on what you think is cool. But I think we have a very cool historical society here in Tatamy.
We do.
It's in the town building. I mean, right now it's the whole thing. You have to wear a mask and all this kind of stuff. They're doing virtual tours right now, but it's a really, really well curated historical society.
I'm looking forward because I'm feeling the itch. Right, you said that about going to. I'm gonna be that dad, and I know it's coming soon. Where I'm gonna be like, what are we doing this Saturday? We're gonna go up to, because up there too they have the Moravian Historical Societies up in Nazareth, right?
Yeah,
in Nazareth,
Field House.
We'll be like, that's what we're doing today, honey, and she's gonna hate it, and it's gonna be great.
She'll love it. She'll love it.
I can't it's fun though. It is. It's interesting, and I think too, it's such a weird time where we can take a minute to reflect and look at some of the awesome things that we do have. And it might seem silly to say it's a borough, but it is. It's what, it's our community. So
I have a funny story about Tatamy. I spent a lot of time in Tatamy. My grandmother
your dad's from Tatamy, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Does
Mayor Chris know that about the basketball court?
Yeah, there's a basketball court that
it's named after your father.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where is it?
And we were young. Me and my cousins were young. And we went to probably 6 or 7. So this was not under Mayor Chris's administration. I went to the post office, and there was empty post office where empty mailboxes, and I was putting my hand to the mailbox, and the mailman grabbed my hand and I peed my pants.
That is not a story you'd normally tell. But that's
no,
really
I don't know how I feel about having told it, but
How far did you have to just walk home?
in
oh, my
shame.
grandmother was so mad at the guy. Like, it was classic. Like, you made my. It was like one of those things where, like, my cousins told my grandmother what happened, and I just wanted it to go away because I peed my pants. And she went up to the. She wanted to raise hell, so she went up there. She's like, look at him, and she was trying to make a point.
Look at the weak boy.
But it
What
made
you
me
did
feel
to him.
Look at
it made me feel more insecure.
Wow.
Look at my weak grandson.
Wow. If you guys want to do a part 2 to this, once all the COVID nightmare goes away, why don't you come to town and we can do we can walk around town.
1,000%.
Yeah,
Like, we're in. This is a lot of fun.
we'll make it happen.
Awesome.
All right, well, hey, thank you for giving us some insight.
Yeah.
You're very
Tim,
welcome.
for joining us.
Thanks for letting me intrude on your podcast.
Yeah.
All good.
That's awesome.
Mayor Chris, anytime you want to come back, let us know. We'll
Sure.
love to have
Yeah,
you.
we'll do that. Once all this nonsense dies off, and hopefully later this summer we can actually, I really want to do something to get the community back together. Last year we had our first, I don't know, like night out or whatever, and that turned into a hugely successful event. I want to do something like that again and get the community together. So I'll keep you guys
For
posted.
now, we're in.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll make that happen. All right.
You guys take care of Tatamy. We'll see you later.
We will. All right. We'll take it easy. Thanks a lot.
See you,
Yep,
Chris.
this
See you,
was fun.
boys.
See ya. Yep. Have a good